Well, good morning and welcome to Naming in an AI Age. Okay, last week we talked about domain naming. This week we're going to dive into something a little bit different. Picture this. You've got a brilliant business, you've got great content, great videos, but crickets. No social media platform, no one can find you. That's where these handles swoop in and save the day. Social media handles are like your online address. And maybe even more important these days than a domain name, I would say, considering everybody. I search for things through TikTok and through specific things, and your social media handle could help with that. It's what people use to tag you, they mention you, they find you in this vast jungle, this digital jungle that we're in. And I would venture to say it can also actually help potential followers know what your profile is about and what you do. It sounds simple, but the really big digital debate these days is, should you have separate handles for your personal brand and your business brand? Should they be the same? Should they be different? What are your thoughts, Mike?
I think social media handles give you an opportunity to show a little more personality, right? And it depends on what your ultimate objective is. If you want to use your social media handle to sell something, right, then having a handle that's consistent across all platforms makes a lot of sense. In terms of personality, though, like if you're like we own NameStorming.com. Well, my handle could be Crazy NameStormer, right? As an example, it still relates to name storming, but it might imbue it with a little personality. Or I could say NameStormer Sage, where Sage conveys something about the expertise and the experience that arguably I bring to the table since I've been doing this so long. So you have a little bit of liberty doing that, but when you start doing that, you run the risk of losing your trademark rights. So you might want to go with something like, instead of NameStormer Sage or Crazy NameStormer, I would just say I'm a crazy namer, right? And I just have a little different social media presence than I do on our website.
And it depends on maybe the direction and the connection you want to have with your audience and who you're targeting specifically. Sometimes you have a brand and you want to come up with, or you're wanting to build a brand and you want to come up with a social media handle. There's some tips and tricks on how to do that. And we've talked about evergreen content as well as just evergreen language. Words specifically like naming sage or namer sage or crazy namer, those stand the test of time for better or worse, and so I think those type of things versus 2024. I know back in the day, all the Hotmail, I don't know if that's dating me, the Hotmail, the Gmail, a lot of people put their graduation year and stuff like that. It kind of does date you a little bit. And so thinking about that, making it short and sweet. I've seen people whose domain names and whose social media handles, it's like the ice cream truck on 260 at whatever. That's a lot for me to type in, and I'm probably not going to search that. Some specific platforms ban use of characters in your actual name. And so having a dash or having a specific, maybe not necessarily underscore, but specific symbols, they won't recognize it. So be careful of that if you're trying to register it all the way across on all the different platforms. Having one little difference than another, it can get kind of confusing when you're typing it in. I also found out that there are a bunch of online tools that you can check across platforms. That makes things so much easier than trying to go to each platform and do it.
Once you've done that, no one else then can steal that from you on those platforms.
Mhm.
But if you forget a platform and you don't own the trademark rights in that handle, then someone else could start using it, like on X or on Twitter. Then as you grow in stature and size, now all of a sudden you want to have a social media presence on X, but you forgot to start out there and someone else has swiped it from you, then you have a battle.
I think you mentioned, don't miss cover all your bases when we're trying to register on the social media platforms. There have been some cases, I think, where you just DM that specific person using it and ask them to change it. Now, obviously, if you're a huge company, that could lead to money problems, someone trying to sell it to you versus just asking. And sometimes you can tell if they haven't posted in a long time or they're not actually there and it's kind of like a dead account. Usually it's more likely that they would transfer it over. But if you do have a trademark, I mean, what do you do if someone is using your specific account and you already have a trademark name? Does that give you that right on social media as well, do you think?
Basically, you cannot trademark a social media handle unless you're using it to sell something. So if you just got a website or a blog post or an Instagram or Pinterest page, and you've got a lot of cool pictures, and your social media is Ashley Elliott, cool mom, right?
No,
Well,
that would be inaccurate, but yeah.
you can't register that because you're not selling anything. You're not
Mm.
using it to engage in commerce. On the other hand, if you're using that exact social media handle to promote pictures on your website, and maybe you're offering content about the best way to raise your kids, or something that you've learned about a product or service that you're sponsoring, so you start to get subscribers that are paying you money. As soon as you start doing that, then you're using that social media handle as, quote, a brand. Then often you have rights in trademarking that. But the way trademark registration works is it's only for what you're doing. That is, it doesn't give you protection across all types of products and services. So if you were using your social media handle to promote, education for moms, and somebody else wanted to use exactly that same name, not that same social media handle, but that same name as a trademark for selling construction equipment, trademark law doesn't prevent that, right?
Mhm.
Because it's a different class of goods and services. The likelihood of someone confusing you, the influencer on social media that helps moms with their kids, versus someone else with the identical name but selling construction equipment, the view by most folks would be the likelihood of confusion there is almost zero. At the minimum, you ought to do a trademark search and make sure you're not infringing upon someone else's existing mark in your space. So after a year or two of you doing this, they can come back and send you that awful cease and desist letter, because they own the trademark rights before you did in your space, and you have to stop doing everything, or you have to change your name, right? You don't want to
That
do that.
Yeah,
So
that
that's
would be a
one of the
nightmare.
gotchas. Yeah.
Well, and so let's say I did a search and, oh, that one's taken. I can't really, and I also can't. I've asked them to switch their name or to let me use their name. They said no. We have to have some workaround on what else you can do that conveys your brand, but doesn't stray people away from you, and it still conveys what you actually do. So it's going to be different if you're a personal brand, obviously, versus a business brand. But I've seen a lot of people do, like I am Ashley Elliott. Okay, so that's the social media handle I have. So it has my name in it, my personal brand name, but it also has who I am, or call me Ashley. What do you think are some business ones? You talked about Crazy Namer. That would be more of a personal one in my opinion. But like NameStormers, what are some things that we could do if we had no ability to take a NameStormers handle?
Right. So since we own the trademark for NameStormers, if someone was out there using NameStormers as their social media handle in their space, we could stop them. And it might cost us some money, but we own the rights in that name. And so we could send them, we could DM them or whatever and say, look, we're the trademark owner. You're in our space, you're promoting naming services under our registered trademark. You need to change your name. So if you think of social media as a distribution channel, which Mark Schaefer talks a lot about in his books and on his podcast, then every one of those channels you can have trademark rights in using. But if you don't already have the trademark, right? If you're new to the field and you've done your due diligence and you've found out, nope, I can use this name, nobody already owns it, and you start putting in this social media handle into all the different social media channels, all the different platforms, you do want to use it consistently. I mean, there's certain things you have to do to protect your trademark rights. And one of those is you want to use the same social media handle across all your platforms so that you can show the Patent and Trademark Office that you're using it as a brand, you're using it consistently. All that's important for you to retain your legal rights. And I know this sounds very complex to all of you that are watching this or listening to this and just getting started, but it is something that if you really are ambitious and you think this is going to become a real moneymaker for you or important to you, the sooner you dot the I's and cross the T's from a legal standpoint, the better off you're going to be down the road.
At the end of the day, the point is just be consistent and do your due diligence and think outside the box when it comes to a social media handle that conveys what you do, your value prop, and just engages that potential future follower and subscriber, not just the ones that you currently have. Thanks, Mike, for joining us today. Do you have anything else you'd like to add before we end?
No, I think all those points are great points. Do your research, do your due diligence, be consistent, don't infringe on someone else's trademark, and just have a lot of fun when you're out there in the digital world these days.
Says the crazy namer. Y'all go follow him. We'll see if that handle is taken. All right. Well, have a good week, and we will see you guys next time.
See ya.
Bye.